Elissa Lam, The Elevator Mystery 2013. In 2013, Canadian student Eliza Lam was staying at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. She disappeared, and her body was found weeks later inside a sealed water tank on the hotel's roof. The mystery started with a viral video of Eliza in the hotel elevator. She was acting very strange, pressing multiple buttons, hiding in the corner, and waving her hands at someone who wasn't there. Police ruled the death an accidental drowning, but many questions remain. How did she get onto the roof, and how did she close the heavy lid of the water tank from the inside? The Somerton Man, Tamamshud 1948, on a beach in Australia, a well-dressed man was found dead, leaning against a wall. He had no identification, and all the labels on his clothes had been cut off. Inside a secret pocket in his trousers, police found a tiny piece of paper with the words Tamamshud, meaning it is finished in Persian. Despite an international search, no one knew who he was for over 70 years. In 2022, DNA testing identified him as Carl Webb, but the circumstances of his death and the spy-like nature of the case still remain one of Australia's biggest mysteries. The Isdal Woman, the label-less mystery 1970. In the Isdalen Valley in Norway, a partially burned body of a woman was found. She had dozens of sleeping pills in her stomach. Like the Somerton Man, all labels had been removed from her clothes. Police found her suitcases at a train station. They contained multiple wigs, different currencies, and a coded diary. Witnesses said she spoke several languages and stayed at various hotels under fake names. Many believe she was a Cold War spy, but her true identity and the reason for her death are still unknown. Edgar Allan Poe, The Final Delirium 1849, the famous writer of macabre stories, died in a way that was as mysterious as his books. Poe was found in Baltimore, wandering the streets in a state of delirium. He was wearing clothes that were not his own and kept shouting the name Reynolds. He died in the hospital a few days later. No one knows how he ended up in that condition, or what happened to him in the days before he was found. Theories range from rabies to cooping, a form of voting fraud, but the official cause of death was listed as congestion of the brain. Gareth Williams, The Spy in the Bag 2010. Gareth Williams was a brilliant codebreaker for MI6 in the UK. His body was found inside a padlocked North Face sports bag in his own bathtub. The bag was locked from the outside. There were no signs of a struggle, and no DNA or fingerprints from any other person were found on the bag or the lock. Experts tried to recreate how a person could lock themselves inside such a bag, and they found it nearly impossible. The police eventually ruled it an accident, but his family and the public still believe something much darker happened. The Dyatlov Pass Incident 1959. 9 experienced hikers went into the Ural Mountains and never returned. When their tent was found, it had been cut open from the inside. The hikers had fled into the snow in their underwear, despite the freezing temperatures. Some of the bodies had strange injuries, like missing tongues and fractured skulls, but there were no signs of a fight. The Soviet investigation concluded they died from a compelling natural force, while a 2019 study suggests a rare type of avalanche. The strange radiation on their clothes and the way they fled still keep the mystery alive. Gloria Ramirez, The Toxic Lady 1994. In 1994, Gloria Ramirez was rushed to a California hospital with heart failure. When nurses drew her blood, they noticed a strange chemical smell and oily crystals in it. Suddenly, the medical staff began to faint and experience muscle tremors. In total, 23 people became ill, and 5 had to be hospitalized. The hospital had to evacuate the emergency room. Gloria died that night. Scientists have tried to explain it as a chemical reaction involving a skin cream she used, but the toxic nature of her body remains a medical anomaly that has never been fully solved. Natalie Wood, The Yacht Tragedy 1981. Hollywood star Natalie Wood went on a weekend yacht trip with her husband, Robert Wagner, and actor Christopher Walken. On a cold November night, she disappeared from the boat. Her body was found the next morning floating in the water. At first, it was ruled an accident. However, in 2011, the case was reopened because of new witness statements. She had bruises on her body that suggested she was injured before she hit the water. The mystery of how she ended up in the ocean remains a dark cloud over Hollywood history. Mary Reeser, spontaneous combustion, 1951. In 1951, Mary Reeser was found in her apartment in Florida. Her body was almost entirely reduced to ash, except for one of her feet, which was still wearing a slipper. The strange part was that the chair she was sitting in was destroyed, but the rest of the room was mostly untouched. To turn a human body to ash, a temperature of nearly 3,000 degrees is required. Police were baffled. Was it a freak accident with a cigarette, or a rare case of spontaneous human combustion? The Hinterkaifeck murders, 1922. This is one of Germany's most terrifying unsolved cases. A family of 6 was killed on their remote farm. Days before the murders, the father told neighbors he found footprints in the snow leading from the woods to the farm, but none leading back. He also heard footsteps in the attic. The most chilling detail: after the family was killed, the murderer stayed on the farm for several days. They fed the cattle, ate the food in the kitchen, and kept the chimney smoking. Despite interviewing over 100 suspects, no one was ever charged. Ken Rex McElroy, the Silent Town. 1981. McElroy was the town bully of Skidmore, Missouri. He had been accused of dozens of crimes, but always escaped punishment. In 1981, he was shot in broad daylight in front of a crowd of at least 30 to 45 people. Every single witness told the police the same thing: "I didn't see anything," despite the fact that he was shot in the middle of town with dozens of people watching. No one was ever arrested. It is a mystery not of who did it, but of how an entire town can keep a secret for decades. The lead masks case, 1966. 2 electronic technicians in Brazil were found dead on a hill. They were wearing suits and lead-eye masks, the kind used to protect against radiation. Next to them was a notebook with a strange message: 1630 at the agreed place. 1830 swallow capsules, after effect protect metal's weight for signal mask. There were no signs of violence and no toxins found in their bodies. Why were they wearing lead masks? What were the capsules? No one knows if it was a failed scientific experiment, a cult ritual, or something even more bizarre.